We are here to recognize Mr. Yoder for his wonderful accomplishment as the Eagle Scout rank. Recognition for repairing and reinforcing veteran memorial markers in the Bellman's Church Cemetery in Mooresville, PA. This outstanding achievement in scouting is a tribute to your commitment and dedication. Congratulations, Mr. Yoder. This is presented the 20th day of February 24th on behalf of the Muhlenberg Township Board of Commissioners. So, thank you. All right, at the current portion of the meeting, I'm going to turn it over to our solicitor, Mr. Plank, who's going to lead us through a public hearing.
Good evening, everyone. This is time and place that's been advertised for a hearing concerning the enactment of an ordinance to vacate certain portions of Darby Avenue and Western Avenue containing 34,834 square feet of land, more or less. First, the township will introduce the exhibits for the record. We have Exhibit 1, which is a draft of the ordinance. We have Exhibit 2, which is proof of publication of tonight's hearing and the potential enactment of the ordinance. And we have Exhibit 3, which is the affidavit of mailing of the notice to the adjacent property owners. Now, I'll turn it over to the applicant's attorney to do a small presentation.
Sure. My name is Keith Mooney. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, NDA Muhlenberg, which is Newman Development. We're the equitable owner of the property. I think everybody's familiar with the project that we expect to turn the property into a Wawa. We have contingent final plan approval from this body. The street in question runs almost through the middle of the property. I don't think that the township's been maintaining it. We'd like to take it over, obviously, and use it as a private driveway. It doesn't run to any other properties except ours and the parcel that's going to be kept behind us by the current property owner. And we are giving him a permanent easement to utilize that driveway to access his property as was presented at the conditional use hearing and as shown on our subdivision and land development plan. So obviously, we're the property owners who abut the property and who are affected are in favor of the vacation and ask that you vacate the portion of the roads.
And Mr. Mooney, the owner will be completely responsible for the maintenance for that.
Correct.
Any questions or remarks from the board? Any public comment? At this point, is there any motion from the board to enact the ordinance vacating a portion of Darby Avenue and Western Avenue?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any further question? Any further questions or comments by any of the commissioners?
Right. With that, we can close the record for the hearing and you can turn it back over for the regular monthly meeting. Thank you.
Should we officially vote on it, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so just, to our solicitors, motion and second, and all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those if any, the ayes have it, so ordered.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mooney. Safe travels. Thanks. The next portion of the meeting is our public portion, time resident for taxpayers, comment matters of concern, or official actions that may be before the board of commissioners. We ask that you allow those who address the board, to have their comments and the board to respond without interruption will be greatly appreciated. Jeremy, what do you know about it? Okay, our first sign in is Joshua Michael, 1311 Rising Sun Avenue.
It's okay, I'm gonna speak on his behalf, we're together.
Sure.
Tracy Road, same address, 1311 Rising Sun Avenue. I have two things. One is I understand, or I believe that the study that was done after the rain event last July was done and given to you as of last month, and just wondered if there's anything you can share with us about the results, or when we might hear some results.
I can talk to that. We do have the report from the engineer. The engineer does highlight, half a dozen or so recommendations. And so what we're doing now, and we can, if the board's, we can make that report, public.
Sure.
And so we can share that on the website. We're going back to the engineer now and we're going to put some, construction cost estimates, some figures to the recommendations that they have. And then to be able to quantify a cost and, take the next steps forward from there.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
For what it's worth, Mark Rossi's office has suggested that there is funding available for some of the repairs as well. So if we hustle along here, we can apply for some grant funding.
We're trying, Tracy, for the April meeting to have some course of action. It's just, it's such a tremendous volume of information. And the recommendations obviously come with the cost and we want them to have some impact, not just to us to say we did something. So this board has been very involved in the document. We talk about it often, if not every time it rains. So we're doing our best, but we hope we'll have some actions for that by the April meeting at least.
Okay, I'll be care for that. Second is, and we spoke about this before. I know the bridge near Mount Laurel, I can't say that, the catering, on Mount Laurel Road is, handled by PennDOT. I believe PennDOT was here after the flood when you had agencies here. And I believe I asked him then if they were gonna handle the bridge situation, because those two inlets or whatever they're called underneath, they jam with the debris after rain events. I can't remember if they cleaned it up after July or not, but I can tell you since the 3 rain events we had in December and January, which were significant at my house, we didn't flood, but we got very close to cresting again, all 3 times. If you go and you look at that bridge again, one of those underpasses is almost completely blocked again. I don't know if they cleared it out and these events, had that debris really fill in again. I can't remember, to tell you the truth, there was so much going on in those 9 weeks of cleanup. But I have no problem reporting it to PennDOT, but this is what happened in 2020. It took me 2 years with the help of Judy Schwenk's office for them to get out there and clear it. So they finally cleared it in 2022. And I understand that's not a cure-all, but it definitely helps us. We believe it helps us when there's better passage under that bridge to have that flow better and not just back up into my yard. So I have no problem reporting it, like I said, but if we can have our township behind us, that maybe you could, hound them into not waiting a whole nother 2 years, that'd be awesome.
We'll go straight to the senator's office. You can go both angles, but we'll go straight to the senator's office.
All right.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much for your time.
Just in addition to what she was saying, she's just speaking on my behalf, I apologize. I understand there's a limit to what the township has told us that they have within their willpower to actually do for us within the creek because of private property and other matters being how it's DEP. But I also know that you put in a new road for us at the cost of $133,220 done in a week for us, which is great being how ours was washed out. But this is preventative maintenance. This is stuff that can easily be done to prevent another incident like happened last year with, and I know you've had emergency permits to get a lot of work done in other areas that needed to be cleaned up and fixed in conjunction with all this. But this is ongoing. This is not
So the
something that.
difference between Rising Sun Avenue, which is a township road, and the creek behind your house, which is your property, that's the difference. So we own the road and we're responsible for maintenance on the road. Now, again, the report has defined, a handful of recommendations, including the Gabion basket wall behind Monte Laurel, the restaurant that's there. And so our next step is to tally up the costs and get some construction cost estimates for that next phase of the project.
Okay.
Yeah, it's easy to replace the roof on your house when you own it. You're less likely to replace the roof on your neighbor's house when you don't own it, right?
I know, I just think it's also agreeable that preventative measures are easier to take than reactive measures.
Sure are.
After we all experienced what happened last July.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I think it's Corey Leshner.
I was just under the impression that was a sign-in sheet. We're on the agenda under new business.
Oh, okay.
Letter D,
Gotcha.
and that's both mine and next sign.
Gotcha. Glenn, you left. Oh, I guess it's here for Eagles fan. All right. Anyone else wish to speak under the public portion? No? All right. We will move on to the consent agenda. I need a motion to approve the entire consent agenda.
A motion. Second.
Questions or comments?
Yeah, Commissioner, I'd like to comment on a report, Chief Hoover put a year-end 2023 report together for the police department. I just want to touch a little bit on that report just for the public. You know, we as a board are very conscientious about trying to stay ahead of, you know, the crime that does take place in the township. We have a very dedicated police force. Like most police forces, it's probably not nearly as large as it could be. And we'll be looking at some staffing numbers in the near future. But to let the public know, I did have a meeting with Commissioner Malinowski, with Jim and the chief, just to kind of talk about some of the things that we're doing right now to mitigate some crime and to kind of keep us ahead of that curve. So for those who are not aware, you know, we do currently have body cams that we've enabled for our officers, as well as in-car cameras. You know, this helps to document what our officers are doing and what's actually taking place in the township. We are also hoping to have active by the end of this month a number of license plate readers at some of our major intersections and crossroads in and out of the township, so that if an incident does happen, you know, we have some better access to a license plate number so we can see just who's been in different areas. We are also looking at adding some additional lighting in some of our parks and public areas. So these are all actions that are taking place now just to help address some of the crime that we're seeing. You know, it's not a secret that Muhlenberg has a pretty high crime rate, but we are doing everything that we can to address those issues. So if anybody wants to talk after the meeting, please stop up and see me, but I mean, the report itself is part of public record. And hopefully I'll be able to come next month and tell you that the license plate readers are operational. And then we'll start talking about some staffing.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any further comments?
Yes, I just want to say, I read the report in 2023. It was pretty nice to see no murders or no breakthrough in Muhlenberg Township. It was nice, you know, to get good news about that. And of course, the officer in the school, one cop said to the kids, "Are you scared of me being at school?" At the beginning, he said, "Yes, we saw you uniform, but now we wish we're happy you're here." That's nice to know about that. The kids want the cops to be there. That made a big change in the school districts there.
Our school resource officers, you know, one of the things that the chief and I talked about is trying to establish a relationship with the young people in the township. You know, it's important that they understand that we know that, you know, not every teenager is out causing trouble. And it's important that they know that officers are not out to get them. And we're establishing this aura of trust. And just to be able to have conversations with students goes a long way in preventing youth crime in the township. So you know, as our school superintendent was here last month and talked about that, we're looking at adding a possible third school resource officer. So more to come on that also, but yes, thank you, that was a great point, and it's a good thing that's happening.
Thank you, Commissioners. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. No, if any. The ayes have it, so ordered. If no unfinished business, I don't believe, anyone on the board, so we'll move on to new business. A motion to approve the payment of bills presented by the Director of Finance and Customer Service.
A motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Noes, if any? The ayes have it, so ordered. A motion to certify the unpaid real estate tax bills as presented by the tax collector.
Move. Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Noes, if any? The ayes have it, so ordered. A motion to authorize the township manager to destroy township documents for the Records Retention Act and the list as provided by department heads.
Motion. Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those if any, the ayes have it, so ordered. Motion to grant conditional plan approval to the 1855 Milton Street Land Development Plan with all waivers as requested condition on SDE's most recent review letter.
Move. Second.
Jim, just a quick, brief update.
Mr. Lesher, and the rabbi are both here. If the board has any questions or, we can have some dialogue. Mr. Lesher can discuss their proposal for the property.
Sure, I'd be happy to. We can address it in the form of any questions that you had. If you wanted to hear more about the project, I could bring the rabbi up and to explain what we're doing. It's really up to you.
Gentlemen,
I'm not too familiar with the church or the property, maybe you can give me a.
just a high level.
Sure, I'll give you a quick overview. If you have some more specific questions, happy to bring the rabbi up to address them. But essentially, this is 1855 Milton, which sits on Milton Street, which is a paper street just off of Hampton Boulevard. And it sits across the grass strip, which is adjacent to the parking lot for Chabad of Berks County. So what the plan here is to take this 1855 Milton Street and convert it into a religious use, which will be used as a mikveh. A mikveh is essentially a religious bath that's utilized in multiple different life cycle events in the Jewish community. At the present time, the thought process behind this is it will be very limited in use to probably just the rabbi and his family, as we do not have too many Orthodox Jews in the neighborhood or in Reading proper in Berks County at the moment. However, in the future, hopefully that can change, and one of the building blocks of a Jewish community is having a facility like this present so that we can begin to expand to have truly observant Jews in the area. So that's the high level overview of what we're seeking to accomplish here. It's my understanding that the engineer has had some conversation back and forth and is willing to comply with whatever the recommendations are.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Other questions? Thank you for coming tonight.
Sure.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Noes, if any? The ayes have it, so ordered. Thank you. Need a motion to accept the resignation of Rick Hefner from the Muhlenberg Township Authority Board effective January 11th, 2024.
Motion. Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Noes, if any? The ayes have it, so ordered. A motion to accept the resignation of Casey Blankenmiller from the Parks Board effective February 15th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Regretfully, Casey was a good member of the division.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those if any? The ayes have it, so ordered. A motion to appoint Justin Schlockman as the Emergency Management Coordinator for Muhlenberg Township.
Motion.
Second.
Chief, any brief comments? Either chief, I've seen like 19 certifications.
Yeah, Justin, the plan ultimately, currently we do not have an emergency management coordinator. Justin has vast experience here in Berks County as an emergency management coordinator elsewhere. And is interested in kind of, helping us and assisting us. So I kind of envision this, he's an expert that's kind of gonna be, part-time payroll, on-call basis when we need him. We can call for him as well as just gonna work with me to evaluate some of our incident action plans here at the township going forward.
Thank you, Chief. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those if any? The ayes have it, so ordered. A motion to authorize the Public Works Superintendent to put the 2024 road paving project out to bid.
Motion.
Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those any? The ayes have it, so ordered. A motion to authorize the assistant township manager to execute an agreement with Radio Maintenance Inc. to upgrade the security cameras at the yard waste at a cost of $7,600.
Move.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those any? The ayes have it, so ordered. A motion to authorize public works superintendent to purchase John Deere 1600 wide area mower from Deere Country Farm and Lawn for $68,118.04.
Motion.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those if any? The ayes have it, so ordered. Jim, on the other new business, I have the flag. You want to turn that over to you?
Steve, you wanna talk a little bit about that, or?
Well, I guess I would, yeah. Due to some of the flooding issues that have happened since July, and residents having thousands and thousands of dollars of losses in their basements due to the backflow of sewage into their homes, the MTA has taken a position that in certain areas where in the floodplain or in an area that's prone to be in the floodplain, that those houses can apply for reimbursement up until $2,500 for in the basement backflow prevention. And Rick, if you could help me, the maximum is $3,500 for the outside, I believe. The outside unit would be more costly because you're digging into the ground, whereas in the house, you're basically going into the basement. And it's a lot easier, a lot faster job, which normally costs between $2,500 and $3,500. So that the MTA has agreed to reimburse these people that figure of money to help them get backflow prevention to stop any sewage back up in their homes and further losses. And they has to have some history with backflow issues or in the area like in Hain Avenue where the houses were having 3 feet of sewer backage to their houses and $40,000 worth of damages. So I guess the issue is coming up as to fees. Am I correct?
Sure.
Okay. I know one person applied for and was accepted into getting a backflow into their home. The question was, and she said that would the township agree to waive the fees? That's the matter with our manager, Jim Bobick, and my personal position, and that's just my personal position, is that anything that administratively that happens during a fee, we're applying for it, where there's really no cost other than our staff doing the work. I have no personal issue with forgiving that portion of the fee. There's other portions of the fee which would be having a private plumber actually going out who's licensed to inspect and licensed to approve the backflow, how it's being placed in, the unit, the whole thing. I mean, the private owner wants this done because if it's not done right, it's not gonna work. Now, that plumber going out, there will be a charge for that plumber, and I don't think it's right for the taxpayers in general to pay for that. That's just my own personal opinion. I don't know what kind of dollars and cents we're talking about. Maybe Jim Bobby can be a little more specific.
Actually, Steve could be very specific.
Yeah, so typically with a new installation like that, under the back, under the ordinance would be $100 flat fee plus about 3.5% of the overall cost of the project. It's what our fee would be for issuing that plumbing permit. Then we would send an inspector out multiple times for the inspection of that. backward valve.
That would be like Steve Simon's going out.
Yeah.
And what would be that charge?
It's covered under that fee, Steve bills me monthly
I see.
for hours and times of inspections.
What is the cost to the township without Steve's fee? Any other-
I would say just administratively, that permit comes in, goes through an administrative section into the township. Secretary has time to process that, get it into the system, it's probably, a half an hour to an hour on permit, I would say. At their hourly rate, and that would come through to our department, to a funding official for full review. That would get reviewed, we bill me for about an hour plan review to make sure that it's compliant installation, and then about 1 hour billing for inspection. So the cost of that permit is pretty much a wash, it's paid in the overall fee. Kind of it's balanced out.
But my initial thoughts were if MTA was willing to go to that expense to put in the backflow, that the township should meet it in some way, but not take a loss out of it. Not know how we can do that.
The backflow preventer, is this then a pumping station? Are we just Band-Aiding it? Is it the investment of waiving fee should be put into fixing so the problem doesn't happen? Or is it infiltration? You get what I'm getting at, is this just putting something in that if someone doesn't keep up with it or monitor it, is it annual maintenance?
Yeah, it depends on the type of valve, there's a maintenance required for all
Yeah.
valves. Doesn't matter.
My concern is not helping the residents meet the expectation, but it would be no different than any other fee we would charge for anything else we do in the community. I'm not saying no, I just want to understand if we're doing this, what's the underlying problem that's causing the sewage backup? Have we identified that?
Well, the townships, the MTA is working on things like that. We're replacing manhole covers. We're doing backflow prevention at certain pumping stations, and that things won't build into certain neighborhoods. I mean, there's other things that are being done. The backflow, basically, I don't know if you know what they look like. It's a valve basically that only goes one way and won't let the sewage come back into the home. 100%, not, there's been failures. And yes, the homeowner has to exercise that valve in a regular basis, once a year or so. But that would be up to the owner to do that. That would be something that was spelled out by the MTA when they reimburse. I'm just,
I guess I'm trying to get a handle on the ultimate cost of the township, of how many it would be. You know what I mean? How many are we actually talking about? How much time are we gonna have everyone in Muhlenberg and one backflow preventer? Yeah, I don't disagree with you, Rick, but the way what happens is someone's gonna call me and say, well, you did it for this guy, why aren't you doing it for this guy or gal? And
the MTA would have to prove that they have applications, and they have certain areas where they say they will and will not.
Yeah,
I mean, if there's a house that had a backflow issue, they would be accepted. And I don't know how many, I think maybe 8 people have applied for already.
and I'm not trying to be difficult, I'm just trying to be definable about what would be the requirement for us to forgo a fee and how often do we forgo that fee? You know, if it malfunctions, I just, if we're gonna do it, I'm not saying I'm against it at all. I'm just saying I would like definable measures so we can communicate to those who aren't getting this advantage as residents versus those who are getting advantage of it as residents. Do you know what I mean? Because there's many people who get sewer backed up anywhere in the township, and I just wanna make sure I can, educate them on why we're doing it for a specific group of people versus everybody.
I think that's something the MTA would explain.
Steve, have we only had, you said we've only had one application.
One permit that's officially been issued for that, however, having gotten through February's, all plumbing permits that come through for February to verify, but that's the first one I know of.
We-
Officially issued.
We could table this until next month. Maybe we'll have some more applications by then. Maybe we'll have a better understanding of how many people are going to apply. We can ask the MTA to share their applications with us so that we know what to expect moving forward. and we can get a better understanding of what the fees associated with the plumbing inspector are going to be.
Well, it's just my opinion. I mean, it's up to the board in general. I just myself would rather have a little more information on the application process, how it's approved, what areas are before we have 8,000 households with a backflow preventer, and we don't really have our hands around why and waiving the fee for it. I mean, if the authority made a decision to do it, I understand that's their prerogative. But ours is not to have, you know, a dedicated person that's just processing the stuff without getting any reimbursement at all, because it's not fair to the community as a whole, without something around it. But I'll let the board decide if they'd rather just go waiving it. It's up to you guys.
I don't expect it to be more than 50 to 100 houses.
Well, Mr. Wolfner speaking about that, our big problems down at Eagles Lane, that's why we start doing this, because the people down Eagles Lane had flooded, it was in dry right down there. And they came out and they say, that if I put that's in their house and that, and the water authority sit back and thought about it, and we said, we'll pay up to 2,500, 3,500, and sure, the money applies. That's why we're doing it, helping them out. Because their basement got flooded down there a couple of times. Like Mr. Wolfner said before, we put covers in the manholes coming down over at Eagles Lane. We're cleaning them. I guess Jeremy, you clean out that bank over there. The water was running down the back of it. They said.
PennDOT, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, along the highway.
The highway, the water's running down.
Yeah.
We were trying, stop water running down in people's basement over there.
Yeah, I have no problem with table. So we get a better, ideas of the fee would actually.
I mean, at the end of the day, if the plumbing inspector's billing me $80 an hour. Typically, it's 1 hour for plumbing, 1 hour for a plan review, and 1 hour for that inspection. So what it costs in there for some paperwork, things of that nature that they bill us, so that's what they would bill for that. The fee schedule and the fees under Pennsylvania Uniform Construction Code are set up to make it a wash for us, that's what we pay for. Middle Township realistically doesn't make any money on this, it's to pay for all the fees and everything accrued to review, process, and approve and inspect that permit.
Commissioner Cirilli over there, any thoughts? Everyone's, tabling it until next month.
I agree with tabling it until next month. Get some more information. Maybe the education.
You guys okay with that?
Yeah, I'd like to be able to see, like, what areas they're targeting, I mean, because they're specifically, I think, targeting areas that had sewer backup immediately, if not right after the flooding events that we had. And we're not specifically addressing everybody in the township that might apply for one of these. So for instance, a couple of weeks ago, my next door neighbor has sewage backup in their house in an area that doesn't flood. I mean, it happens. Lines get clogged, and to MTA's credit, I mean, no matter what you do, no matter how much they grind the stuff that gets into some of these pipes, things do clog. So my neighbor's backup was not a result of floodwaters or anything seeping into sewage pipes. So I think if we were to look at a geographic area, maybe would align with what MTA is looking at as a specific response to flooding, I think I would be okay with that, but I would like to see the area, just kind of see, perhaps an idea how many residents are affected.
And I'm gonna be clear, for the record, there's no one saying we're not going to it. We just need a little more information on the program, which I think we all think is a good program in the areas that have been impacted, but what's the ramifications of putting such a program? Yeah, any parameters you want. Fair enough? All right, thank you, Commissioner Wolfner. I need a motion to appoint Randy Gilbert and Marty Brett to the Muhlenberg Township Fire and Rescue 66 Board for terms expiring December 31st, 2025.
The motion.
I'll second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Those if any. The ayes have it, so ordered. A motion to appoint Steve Wolfender to fill the unexpired term of Muhlenberg Township Authority Board expiring December 31st, 2025.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Noes, if any. The ayes have it, so ordered. Motion to appoint Dorothy Haynes to a vacant seat on the Parks Board with a term expiring December 31st, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Noes, if any. The ayes have it, so ordered. And a motion to appoint Gail Horst to a vacant seat on the Arts Board with a term expiring on December 31st, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Noes, if any. The ayes have it, so ordered. Thank all those candidates for volunteering their time to help make our community better. The second,
Next old business.
old business, go right ahead.
For the record, I'd like to discuss the limited deer hunt that we had at the basin. If the board recalls, I think our new board members know, we discussed this at one of these meetings, October and November, as to should we do it or should we not do it? The board at that time felt we should. We saw the deer population as being an issue. And we went through the rules and regulations of how we would go about doing it. The goal was not to eliminate the deer from the basin. The goal was to have a safe way of controlling the amount of deer that were in the basin. At that time, there were some people saying there were between 40 and 60 deer in the basin. We actually advertised it online. We had a number of people who applied. The safety feature was, can these people shoot a bow and arrow that will not injure a deer, that will kill the deer, and will safely shoot? Well, do they know the rules and regulations? Will they follow the rules and regulations? And we picked, and there were 14 people. And I was there during the qualifications, and I couldn't do what they did with a rifle, let alone with a bow and arrow. They were 30 yards of putting arrows within a rifle. The hunt started on December 26th. 9 deer were killed. When I went out afterwards, I was walking around and I was there to watch the qualifications and I wanted to go and see how things were going. So every now and again, I went into the basin. I went into the basin after the 9th deer was killed. I saw between 20 and 25 deer in the one quadrant. We had 4 quadrants in the basin. I saw 20 to 25 deer. So that was after the 9 were killed. And a few days after that, the 10th deer was killed. It was our feeling that we didn't want to overkill. We wanted to remove 10 doe, which comes spring, on the average of 1.5 deer per fawns per doe. That lessens the herd by over 20 deer. There are deer herds in Jim Beecher Park. That's not part of what we were talking about. There's deer herds in Red Crest. We were interested in the basin, which is like an overflow. So when we hit number 10, that's what we wanted to do. January 17th, we stopped the hunt. We were gonna go hunting till the end of January. We stopped the hunt when we got what we wanted to do. So there were 10 deer taken. All the deer were processed, not wasted, and were used as food by the hunters. So I just wanted to report this back to the public. This is something that, we were not pushing deer hunting in Muhlenberg. We were not pushing archery hunting. The main thing was to have a safe way of bringing down the number of deer, that have been, seen causing damage in lawns, throughout the Muhlenberg Park area at least. I know there were deer killed by motor vehicles on, the bypass. There were 2 deer killed at Hayden Avenue. There's been deer killed in River Road. And unfortunately, it's not the deer's fault. Our drivers are going too fast. I mean, if you drive around the county, drive anywhere, you see that everybody's in a race. And they're exceeding the speed limits and whatnot. And they do that in River Road. They do that in License Bridge Road. I almost hit 3 deer on License Bridge Road, and I drive like an old man. You know, they ran in front of the car, and, you know, when people are going fast, they just hit the deer. Not their fault, but there are a lot of deer around. So I wanted to report this back to the public. I know there were some concerns. Some people thought their deer population was not a problem in Muhlenberg. I love seeing the deer. My newspaper delivery person said she saw over 20 deer in the lawn, in one of the streets right up the street from me. And right now, there are a lot of deer. The question is, are we gonna do it next year? What I'd like to see done is I'd like to actually get some numbers as to how many deer are in the basement. I'd like to go out with a group of people and start, you know, looking and seeing how many deer are actually there. This one person said it was 60 deer. I thought that was crazy. But when I went out and I saw over 20 to 25 of it just in the one area, you know, maybe he was right. So, I guess we'll come back to the board, next fall, see whether or not we're gonna do it again. I know we have some improvements that we wanna do in the basin. I don't know whether or not that would have any effect on it, but, I just wanted to be very open to the public. You know, I'm not wanting to kill things or kill deer. I just saw the numbers as being the problem. And, we're always gonna have a deer in Muhlenberg. I just don't wanna have that thing. And I'm available for any questions if you guys want to ask me.
Thank you, Commissioners. All right, that's it, we're unfinished our old business. Public portion, anyone wish to speak on the second public portion? All right, well, thank you. Staff. Sorry, Mr. Jungle, we're talking about that.
Yeah, I just want to thank all the residents, landlords, tenants that took care of the back-to-back snowstorms. We've had a lot less complaints for snow removal this year, so it's kind of nice that everybody participating and cleaning up their works. Okay, thank you. So,
Joseph?
We have some really cool technology changes going on our website, but I'm gonna let Dawn speak about that today.
Jeremy?
On that note, no more snow. I don't have anything.
Dawn?
We successfully implemented our new utility billing. So your new trash bill, hopefully will hit sometime this week or early next week. There's a lot of options, changes on the bill. It's gonna have a completely different look. People can now sign up for automatic payment. They can sign up for paperless billing. Just ACH, email notifications, yeah, so. Yep, so good things.
Good.
Somebody posed me the question, is there any cost for someone paying with a credit card?
The cost to the township, not to the resident. We absorb all its cost.
Thank you, Dawn. Chief?
One comment, you guys will notice that the monthly reports have somewhat changed. We recently updated our software, so some of the reporting is just gonna have a different look to it. At the same time, I kind of condensed a lot of the information that we were presenting previously. So if there's any questions, a more condensed data report, just feel free to ask.
Thanks, Chief. Chief too.
Thank you, the board for the comments earlier. We're trying, there's always room for improvement. So if anybody has any suggestions or some type of input that we can continue to modify or address, please let me know. Probably within the next week or two, we're gonna be doing another job announcement. So,
You look a little tired, Chief. Any other news you might want to share?
well, I was up most of the night, due to my son and his wife having a child early this morning. He was quite nervous because things weren't going so hot. So I was kind of a 3,000-pound coach. You know, so, yes.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Karen.
Just want to say over on the table, there are some yearly statistics of the library and how it's used, so your money is well spent.
Mr. O.
The only follow-up additional comment to Chief Lupko's comments were, if the board, if there was some portion of the fire report that you preferred seeing, and it wasn't included this month, let him know. He is able to pull extra data, but he has to manually do that as opposed to the reports being automatically generated. So if there's something that you'd like to see, then, you know, let him or I know and we can address that. Planning commission meeting is tomorrow night. We have two plans on the agenda. One, for the old Bob Subaru property at 5th and Leesport Ave, and a very small, subdivision at Fairmount Square Mall for the cell tower that's out here on Field Park.
Thank you. Before I get into the commissioner comment, just quickly, this is, I don't know, first time if you've ever seen, our solicitor, Nicole Plank. As you all know, we lost our solicitor, Mike Setley last year, passed away kind of tragically. We appointed Kelsey Frankowski as our solicitor for 2024, who works with Nicole, who created their new firm, wish them the most success, and we look for great guidance over the course of times from Plank Frankowski moving forward. So I just want to make sure that was noted in the minutes, Marcy. So you're welcome. All right, Commissioner Lurch, you're first.
It's a shame, young Mr. Yoder left. It's nice to see the youth of our township doing really good things. For those who are not familiar with the scouting movement, to earn the rank of Eagle is really saying something about the young man. I work with a scout troop, and I can tell you the young man put a lot of work in to receive that rank, and it was very nice to recognize him publicly. I know sometimes we present those certificates at their individual courts of honor, and I know Mr. Bobek, who is an Eagle Scout, and I know his scoutmaster, who always speaks very highly of Jimmy. Yeah, it was nice to see that happen, and I do thank Mr. Bobek for making presentations in person from time to time. Back to police matters for a moment. You know, when I was working with the fire department, and we were going through the merger process, I got to spend an awful lot of time with our township firefighters. I've spent a few hours already with meetings with Chief Hoover. Tomorrow, I will be spending some time during the day with Sergeant Travis and some of our other officers, just to kind of get some first person, in-person sightseeing, if you would, of what really goes on in the department. I was going to do that last week until the snow came. And I know going out on a snow day would have been a lot of accidents and things. So I really wanted to see a day where, you know, it's a little more normal, if there is such a term. But that will also give me a little firsthand knowledge to come back and talk to the board a little more intelligently about, you know, where we are police wise and what our officers have to face. You know, it's not glamorized that you see on TV. I mean, they do some really down and dirty work, and, you know, they have to do a lot of things that I wouldn't want to deal with personally day to day. You know, a lot of things that do happen, unfortunately happen because, you know, there's a lot of folks out there with mental health issues. And unfortunately, our police department becomes the front line of, you know, interaction with those persons. So, you know, some of the problems that our police department faces, it's a much larger problem than just crime. And they do an awful lot. So hopefully I'll, come back with more information that I'm looking for. And I thank the chief and the officers for giving me the opportunity to do this.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Searle.
I just want to thank the residents for coming out tonight. I want to recognize, Jeremy and Public Works doing a good job with our roads during the snow. Woke up these past couple storms in the middle of the night and, plows had already gone down the roads. So they're doing a good job with that. The police report, in the minutes was very meticulous. I think it was one of the best reports from any department. So I appreciate that. Easy to read, you know, very detailed. And that's pretty much it, so.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Wolf.
I said enough to
All right. Commissioner Allen.
Yeah, I just want to thank, I'm in here for a month and I got, you know, a lot of stuff, like, we got last week, Mr. Kissinger, just been around the fire marshal and his own stuff. Reverend Pat Warren, he's up there showing the guy what's wrong up there. And you got good leadership of, you know, we're township with him and their zoning fire marshal. And Steve was talking to me, telling me different things about zoning in the township, appreciated that. And Alex with the fire department, I learned a lot from the fire department, you know, you didn't know nothing, and you start knowing a lot, what goes on in Milmer, how many calls. Yes, Milmer is what, number one or number two with calls in First County,
Probably within the top 5.
top 5, I mean. They're out there all the time, it's unreal to see people volunteer that we have in the township running all the time. I mean, they are out there putting their lives on the line. We have volunteers like that. Then we have our ambulance association, and you know, we learn a lot about that. In 1 month, 504 calls. They go out and help people in the Muhlenberg Township, Florida, all around us there. Just appreciate all the volunteers we have in the Muhlenberg Township. Learn a lot. Thanks a lot for all the help. Yeah, Jeremy in that. Mr. Pocket and Mr. Mensch.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'll be real quick, reiterate everything everybody said. Obviously appreciate all the stuff with police emergency services. Obviously the public works, and Jeremy, his team and crew, that's a tough job they have and, not very glamorous at 4 o'clock in the morning, for what they do. And the guys, did a tremendous job, I thought, which was, some difficult, you know, snows and a lot of it's taken for granted, but it's not by the board and any of the residents. So thank you, and please pass on to our teams. I'd also like to thank Commissioner Hoffmaster and Commissioner Wolfinger. Wasn't too long ago, we had about 90 people in this room about the Muhlenberg Township Authority. And the work that they've done with their leadership, along with some of the authority board members, to move the authority, I think, in just months, and what should have probably been done in the last decade. So I can't thank them enough. I think it's good for our residents, good for economic development in the future. And we're anxious to see what the future holds for that organization. So I appreciate the work they did with that. So I wanted that to be said. So thank you all for coming, and no snow, and have a good evening.